hello, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Perfectly Twisted. I'm Nicole Eggert, and that is Dave Palais. How you doing, Dave?
I'm I'm doing okay. Just so many things go on all the time as we compare weeks on how our weeks are going. And I'll be honest with you, after hearing about your week, a little bit exhausted right now. Like I feel really bad, and boy, man, storylines seem to find you all the time.
Yeah, I can't escape it. It's these are our hospital years.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about it.
That you just came up with a new show. Forget about the Wonder Years, Nicole's hospital years.
Nicole's hospital years, and I've always had a fear and like a dread of hospitals, and I have grown to be quite comfortable in them, and it's horrifying and yet wonderful all at the same time. Yeah, so Keegan, I think the last episode we did, we thought she had a sprain. Turns out she's got a major break down her tibia and into her foot. She had to have surgery, and she has a huge cast. So that's been a real roller coaster emotionally. And then I'm scheduled for surgery tomorrow. I'm having my other mastectomy,
Ooh,
and I am having reconstruction. And
okay.
I'm actually really wildly excited for it. So it's time. It's just definitely time. I am one of these people that I can sleep on things, and I've like slept on it for over a year of what I wanted to do. Found the right doctor. I've had many fail attempts. I think I've said like I'm going in for surgery, and
Yeah,
then I'm like come back and I'm like I didn't do it. I'm doing it this time.
good for you.
So yeah, I'm excited about that. And we will have um three legs, and sort of two arms between the two of us with Keegan and I in our recovery process. So this is going to be funny. I'm not going to be able to use my arms, and she can't use her leg, but she really can't use her arms either because she's on crutches. So we are a comedy team.
Yeah, well, you are. You're a team. It's could be worse. It's that remember that old Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movie where guy could see, one guy could hear, or one guy couldn't see, one guy couldn't hear, and
Yeah.
together they made it work.
Yes. It's funny. My daughter and her friends did a challenge last week of they baked cookies where one's blindfolded, one has headphones on with loud music, and one can't talk. And they baked cookies, and they did great until the baking part, and then they burned them. But up until then, they did fantastic. So I was very impressed with
Oh,
this
that's good.
challenge. Yeah, very creative.
That's good. Well,
Well,
it just going straight to you because first to hearing about it, honestly, good for you. I mean, we talk about your journey all the time, and it has been, I mean, serious life and death, serious all the way through. But to be where you're going to be tomorrow, good thoughts for you, for
thank you.
sure.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to need that. I'm going to need
Wow.
that. So speaking of, we've got such a good guest because I met, she's such a boss. And I met her at an event, and we were sitting at the same table, and it was just kismet that we were seated together. And she was just so captivating, like so beautiful, and her energy was at everything. And then I was clueless as to her entire work life. I just could see this beautiful light sitting next to me who was obviously affected by cancer. And and then we exchanged numbers and everything. And then she says, I have this show you should watch. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So I get it. So I am so happy to introduce. She's a 3-time Emmy winning. She's a host. She's executive producer. She's an actress. And her project that was a podcast turned into a show, a TV show, is nominated for 9 Emmys this year, 2025, which is just, I mean, she's got to be flying high. This is just everything. So welcome, Nikki Boyer.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so happy to be here. And you said such nice things about me while I was in the waiting room.
Well, all very true. All very, very true. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I just love you. I want to add when we were sitting across the table from each other at this event, I couldn't stop staring at you because I felt the same way about you. I was like, well, of course I'm a fan of your work, right? Like I knew who you were immediately when I sat down. And then I noticed your adorable short haircut, and you you just kind of were glowing, and I was putting things together, like, why is she here? Because I didn't know about your situation and I didn't know about your health. And I think I was putting it all together, but I kind of could not stop staring at you. And I kept saying to my husband, like, I need to go like tell her how much I love her. And then I felt like I came on a little strong, possibly because I was like, we have to talk and be friends. So it's so lovely to hear that your rendition of that was not that I was a crazy stalker freak. So
Oh
that's
no.
nice.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I just felt such a it was weird. I felt like a real connection. I was sitting across from you and I just felt like I have to communicate with Nicole. I'd have to have that. So I'm so happy that you're open to it because I just felt very, very drawn to you.
And it all makes sense. And so the show is dying for sex and the
Yes.
podcast is dying for sex.
Yeah.
Which, obviously I had been seeing the billboards and the adverts and all of that for it. And it's something where for me, I was like, yes, they're making a show like this. Like, this is so badass.
Yeah.
And then I kept procrastinating watching it.
Well,
because,
understandably so.
right. And
Yeah.
so I'm kind of like in the show, there's the episode where they're talking about the support groups where it's like the ones who are, quote unquote survivors separate themselves from the terminal. I'm kind of that. I'm kind of guilty.
Totally get it.
Totally. Yeah. And it's interesting because me and two of my friends got our diagnosis around the same time.
Oh my gosh.
And they have both passed on since.
Oh, Nicole.
And one of them was very much, not as much as Molly, but she was always talking about dating and having sex and everything. And I was like, are you nuts? Are you crazy? This is what you're thinking about? And she was, and very much so. And so I really related and immediately fell in love with the Molly character like that. But her diagnosis was terminal also. So I can relate to you on the level of being friends and walking through that with somebody. I mean, how hard was that? And what was the deciding factor where you were like, I'm not keeping this between us. This needs to be shared?
Well, it's interesting you ask that because I feel like anybody that's watching the show that happens to be dealing with cancer, first of all, I can't even believe that people are like kind of really looking at directly in the eyes and having the courage to do it. And if you don't have the courage to watch it or you don't feel like you want to watch it, that's okay too. Like whatever you do is fine, right? But it's interesting that you've had your toe in both ponds, right? You've been the friend, and then you've also been in the situation of looking at someone depicted with cancer on TV and picking the parts you're like, oh, that's familiar. Or, oh, that doesn't make sense to me. And I think everybody's journey through health is so different. I mean, I think you and I would probably handle things very differently. Although, I mean, I don't know if I would be having sex when I'm sick. I barely have sex when I'm healthy. Right? I'm like, menopause has just destroyed everything. Let's not even go into that. That's a whole separate subject. But and that's way TMI. My husband's probably like, thanks for airing that out. But I think what was so interesting is with Molly, she went from being very private. The first time she had cancer, when she had her double mastectomy and chemo and the whole buffet of everything, she didn't tell anybody. I think it was maybe 4 people knew what she was going through for many years. So very private. So this sort of twist in the story of years later, when she got her stage 4 diagnosis, it was kind of like, screw it. Who cares? I don't care. And I'm going to go live my life and do what I want and not have any shame around the cancer and not have any shame around sexuality. And those two were very linked for her. And I understand that may not be what links for everybody, like sex and death doesn't link for everybody, but what is your version of that? And I hope that that's what this show inspires people to think about.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah. And although for me, sex wouldn't, but I don't have a terminal. As of right now, there's no terminal diagnosis. So we are never to say what is unless you're in those shoes, right? Like that's something that is unfathomable until you're there. So yeah, for me, I would think about it and I would think sex is not really, on top of my list, but I get what you're saying. So I did watch the show, and
You I can't
So
believe you watched it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I binged it, and here I have to make a confession, and it's so
Please.
unlike me. I haven't finished the last episode. I left it. I couldn't because I was so in love with the
Oh,
characters. I
yes.
really was. I was so in love, and I couldn't take it, and I can't. I will watch, but I'm, like, saving it for the right moment where I'm allowed
Oh.
I have some time to allow myself to be really sad.
Yeah.
Um, and because I it's one of those endings, like, have you ever like, you
Yeah.
prolong reading the ending? It's because you
Uh-huh.
don't want it to end?
I
Uh,
totally get it. It's like that last bite of cake. You're like, "Well, once I eat that last little bite, it's gone. There's no savor." Like, I totally know what you mean. But I have to tell you, Nicole, first of all, I love that you're bringing this up because I think that's a lot of people were feeling that anxiety around the last episode. But because our writers, Liz Merriweather and Kim Rosenstock, are two of the funniest people on the planet, there's so much hope kind of ignited in the episode. So I feel like when my husband and I finished it, we cried, like, for many reasons, uncontrollably. It was an ending of a lot of things for me and Molly, that last episode, reliving the scenes. But after I did that deep, dark cry that you're talking about, that you have to make time and space for, I felt so, like, engaged in life. Like, I was like, "All right, what are we doing? What are we doing with our time left?" Like, I felt like I have the chills right now just thinking about it. So I can tell you, you will have the ugly, dark, sad cry, but then you'll be something happens in that last episode where it just reminds you, like, what are you doing with this glorious life that you have, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I actually have that almost every day from having a
I
diagnosis.
was wondering about that. How does that show up for you?
It shows up in this, like, sort of, like, fearlessness of, like, "Fuck it. I got I have nothing to lose," right?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to ask for anything. I'm not afraid to talk about anything. I'm not afraid to go anywhere, where it's before I kinda lived myself like this insecure little ball of, like, nervous energy,
Yeah.
and it really, like, pulled the
Oh,
plug right out of that and let that just drain out of me, and I have a sense of, just enjoyment in the moment, really slow down, really
yeah.
just, savoring things, which I listened to the episode of the podcast with the men because I was super curious about,
Yeah.
and I really was happy to hear them take away some of that, like, and
Yes.
like what you're saying, what the show gives the audience of this, what are we doing? Like, let's
Yeah.
enjoy every moment because I always say, like, if I could bottle it up
Mhm.
and give it to people, I would be on every corner like, "Take this, take this," and, it's something that's just there's no words really you can describe it. It's something
Right.
you have to feel and go
Feel
through.
it. Yeah, you have to feel it. Like, I could tell you cerebrally how it should make you feel, but until you're in the moment feeling it, and I love that you said that about those episodes because Molly had these fun sexual escapades, and we did get 2 of the gentlemen that she, I think actually one of them was the first guy that she experimented with when she left her marriage, and then the other guy was a little later in her sexual journey, but they both took away that same thing, which was, wow, life is really precious and really fragile. And every time I'm having, like, a really shitty day or week, Nicole, I kind of listen to episode 5 or 6 as my therapy when I'm driving back and forth from the desert to LA. It kind of regrounds me and it reminds me, like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Why do you have so much anxiety? Why are you so," like you said, "why do you give so many fucks about everybody else and what other people think?" Like, just be authentically you. And I have to say that those episodes and watching her come to that in real time on the podcast while she was dying reminds me how to live. So I always say the podcast for me is like, and she is kind of like my North Star. It's like my free therapy. I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, well, you had to live it, so it's
Well, yeah,
like, and you're
that's true.
wait, did I read that you're a life therapist? Like,
Mm.
you are you a licensed therapist?
I was a therapist. I know I'm a certified life coach.
Oh, life
So,
coach. Well, I mean,
way lower on the
well,
on the rungs.
it
But
depends.
yeah.
That's you know, that
I became a certified life coach during COVID because I just kept finding it started off as, I became a volunteer at the suicide prevention center. So I used to answer the phones when people would call
Oh
the
my God.
lifeline. So I had to go through the training to become that. And their only concern with me was that I stayed on the phone too long with people that weren't technically suicidal because I loved them all so much. So if they were on a scale of 1 to 10 of how likely are you to die by suicide today, if their number was a certain, like on lower than 5, you they're not urgent. You have to clear the lines for people that are at the 10, but I couldn't get off the phone with anybody. So I was like, I think I need to become a life coach so I don't have to get off the phone with people. I can stay on the phone.
Oh my gosh, you're like a unicorn. You are.
I don't
You
know
are
what I
because you're like this boss bitch, but you're so funny and you're so beautiful, and then you're so, like, good. Like,
am.
you're so much better than I am, and, like, you're such a
No.
better no, you are. Like, that's just, like yeah, that's like an empath, right? It's
I mean, I don't know what the hell I am. I'm just fumbling through life. But what I can tell you is that's really nice to hear because I forget sometimes that I did that. So thanks for the reminder. And I would do it again in a heartbeat, but I'd get the wrap up sign like, girl, we
time
got to
to
wrap
go.
the call.
Yeah, you gotta have the countdown timer. I just yeah, and to be by your friend's side like that for all of it, that's so, God, it's so rare and it's so, that it's a unicorn too, like,
Mm,
so many people I've experienced so many people that turn their backs or they just and I respect the way everybody handles it in their own way. I
right,
just wanna
right.
preface with that. I respect it. I don't, but many people just kinda check in here and there. Some people say, "I'm here for whatever you need," and then when you call, they're never available.
Totally.
But you were in it with her and, like,
Yeah.
like the New Year's, like, it was just so you
Yeah.
put her first all the time, and it just was and I like, it broke my heart for you when she left for a hookup and you had done this balloon wall and you got these dresses, and I was like but then you went and found your own party because 'cause you're just that person, I guess. You're just that light where you
Thanks for saying that. I have to be, I have to be honest because that's just kind of how I roll. Like they did take quite a few liberties in the show. At the end of the day, the show very much felt like me and Molly. Like it very much felt like it held us very gently and with love. I felt that. I do. One important thing is that Molly was very clear with me on how she wanted me to support her. Very clear. Right. And so people that are sick sometimes can be vague because they're so exhausted
yeah.
from the illness that they don't want to have to tell people what to do because that's exhausting too. Like nothing worse than getting a text of like, do you need anything? Of course of course I need something. Don't make me tell you what I need. Like, right? Like, so I can say this for people that are ill. It's like, what do they love? What do they enjoy? Send it to them. Drop it off on the front porch. I'm here if you need me. I'm a drop off if you don't. Like, don't make them do work to tell you what they need when they're sick. And I still fall into this sometimes where I don't know what to do. But Molly was very clear with me. I want you here. I need you here. You are my person. And I have to be honest, like, there were times, Nicole, where life was so intense that I couldn't maybe be there in exactly the ways that she wanted to because I had my husband, my 2 stepdaughters, my dog. Also, my dog. I love it. I have to bring my dog in because like the most important thing, right? My dog.
Yeah,
And
well,
then I had my jobs. Like I was trying to make a living. So what I appreciated from Molly was that she was very clear about what she needed and how she needed me. And we had a very open conversation as to like how to cut through the bullshit with each other and really be clear. And we discussed that before she got into the hospital so that I just kind of had a roadmap a little bit because she showed me what that was. And I was so grateful to her for that. Like so grateful that she did that for me.
yeah, that really
It
takes
helped.
off a lot of the stress, right?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Because we don't know necessarily what to do. But at what point did you bring up and was it you that brought it up to do the podcast? And were you like,
Mm,
let's share this. This is
yeah.
gonna help people. This is amazing. This is beautiful. Let's share it. How
I
did that
think she had,
sound?
we were driving. It's a very we'd always wanted to work together. She was a writer who kind of sat with her computer in coffee shops, and I was a host and an actor on set running around trying to find. So our work lives never really joined up until she told me about her life and what she was doing. And she said, I, I think we were driving to Trader Joe's. Honestly, it was so boring, such a boring day. I think maybe I was taking her to one of my auditions because she always wanted to be in the car with me when I went to my auditions, which you know how annoying auditioning is the most annoying thing in the world. Like
Yes.
you park, you sign in, you sit in a room with a bunch of people that look kind of exactly like you, and you try to be good enough to get a part. And I always sucked at auditioning, so I'd always leave there being like, why did I just go do that?
Why I put myself through that?
So Molly came with me, and I think it was pretty early in the day. It was like 11 or 11:30, and she had already gone on 2 dates that morning. And I remember just thinking like, "What is this like for you?" And she's like, "I really feel like I'm figuring some deep dark things out about myself through these sexual relationships that I'm having. And I didn't have a lot of sex when I was younger, so I didn't explore this part of myself. And for some reason the medication that I'm on right now, she said, made her very like excited and want to be physical with people and men, mainly men. And I said, okay, I love that you're leaning into this. And I just sat in my car and I said, I think this is a show. I think there's something here. I think we can work on this together. Maybe we document it. And I said, oh, I think it's called Dying for Sex. And she was like, yes, yes. And then from that point on, we did not stop. We just tried to, and it went through all different iterations. Like it was a podcast, and then it wasn't, and then it was a TV show, and then it was a docuseries, and then it was like a book, then it was a coffee table book. Then it was like we were like, it was all over the place. So we just knew we were so excited to tell her story because I knew it was much more about life than just about sex. I felt like. And then we started recording together, and it kind of went from there. And then in the middle of recording, Nicole, that's when she got really sick. And I didn't know that she wasn't going to be leaving the hospital, but I did know that we still needed to keep recording. So we didn't really know where the story was going, but we just kept recording together. And I'm so glad that we did. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's something that you can forget to do.
Oh, totally.
Right? Like,
Yes.
it's so weird because I was like, I'm going to document my journey. I'm going to record everything. I want to remember every nurse's face,
Yeah.
everybody that helped me and I met along this journey. And then I find myself completely leaving without even having my phone or any device. Because I'm so living in the moment.
It's beautiful.
And
Yes.
there's way less pictures and way less documentation than there was prior.
I
And
mean, I think there's beauty in that too. It's kind of beautiful to be so in the moment of yourself and what you're experiencing that you're not thinking about that stuff. But yeah, I hear you.
yeah, it's weird. And it's taken away a thing for me of like at cheer competitions, I was always the one recording, and I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I want to watch.
Watch. Right. Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's really, but it's great for the things that you do record to be able to go back and hear it. It's kind
Yeah.
of priceless. It really is.
Priceless.
So
Yeah.
it's priceless. And what made you guys decide it's podcast instead of was it because it's the quickest way, or like what was the deciding factor in making it a podcast?
I've been working. My husband is a musician, so we have like just recording equipment everywhere. But it's funny, the things that you have sort of at your disposal sometimes are the hardest to feel inspired to do. Like you're like most musicians are like, I don't really just pick up my guitar and play for fun. I'm playing for work. So this had always felt like work to me, like it's work related. So then when we sat down to record one time at my apartment, and it just felt, I don't know why it felt like, is this what we should be doing or not? So finally, it took a friend of mine who has a production company who said, let me get you guys into a studio where you don't have to think about the technical stuff, the microphone. You just show up, you have your stories. We would produce our show ideas, our beginning, our middle, our end. We do hours and hours and hours of phone calls to prepare. Like, how do we want to tell the story on the mic? Like, we want to turn on the mic and have the freedom to just talk, but we need to have our stories in order and what we're talking about. And how are we going to organize all these men that you've slept with? Like, how do we put them into piles of men? Piles of men. That's a good name for a show.
Piles of men. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Isn't that funny? So we have these piles of stories. And finally, because my friends at this production company said, come in, just show up, we'll turn the mics on and then we get to go. That kind of freed me up from all the technical stuff that I had to do and gave me the ability to go, let's just do this. So that's how we started the recording. It was just fumbling, and finally finding our way.
I love that's
It's a
just
mess. It's always a mess, isn't it?
well, artists are messy. It is.
Exactly.
It's messy. Yeah, but that's where the beauty is. I love that you interviewed the male characters, the male actors from the show. I really enjoyed that
Oh,
that
thank you.
episode too, because what great guys.
Oh my gosh, how lucky.
I mean,
How
it made
lucky.
me have faith again in male actors, like in their personal
Oh,
lives,
yeah.
because so many male actors, it's like, oh God, are you taking yourself that serious? Like this is for real. They were so refreshing and
Yeah.
just such beautiful souls
I'm
on
so
top
glad
of
you picked up on that. Yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, so in the TV show, Jay Duplass was cast as Molly's ex-husband, and Rob Delaney was cast as who we call Neighbor Guy, which I love that Rob Delaney plays a guy with no name, just
Yeah,
Neighbor Guy.
the neighbor guy.
Right. But he's kind of a combination of 3 or 4 different men that Molly had in her life. And then Kelvin, excuse me, Kelvin Yu, who plays a version of my husband. These 3 men in this show were so loving and kind and grateful to have a seat at the table. And they just, I mean, I did a podcast with them, sort of an after the show podcast where I got to interview Jay and Rob. And I thought I was in love with them on set. And then I talked to them about the experience, and you just fall deeper in love with who they are as humans. And Rob had gone through a lot of his own grief with losing his 3-year-old son to cancer. And he wrote a book about it.
Oh,
Yeah, and I read the book, and we didn't go into that in any of our conversation, but he's been very open about his grief around his son. So the fact that he took on a role that required him to be shooting in hospital and be back into that space again, I was so grateful for his bravery and his willingness to do this part. Yeah, it was really, really powerful.
yeah, that gave me chills because I didn't realize that part. You guys had touched on that he was affected by it, but
Yeah.
you think parent, you think, loved
Mhm.
one parent, something like that, friend. You don't think child, and that's just
Yeah.
yeah. And the neighbor guy is just, I mean,
I know.
and I had to listen to the podcast about the male actors because they're so intriguing in this
Yeah.
show. Roles are so reversed in this.
Yes, that's a
Yeah,
great point.
they're so reversed in this, yet because it's so female driven, the male characters get to shine.
Yes.
Everybody gets to shine.
Yes.
And they just because the neighbor guy goes from being somebody you're so grossed out by, right? At least I was. It's like I was so in Molly's shoes of like he's so gross, and that line between like love and hate is
Yeah.
right. It's crossed so easily.
Yes.
'Cause I feel like that about one of my daughter's fathers. Actually, I hated the guy, and found myself pregnant by the guy, and
You hated him so much you had sex
yeah,
with him and made a
yes,
baby.
yes, yes. True life right there, and now I'm back to hating him. Now I'm back like, I remember why I hated you. But this yeah,
Oh my god, you're so funny. That's so true though, yeah.
it is.
Oh,
Those
Nicole.
lines go back and forth. They can snap back and forth. So and it was funny. We were laying by the pool, and it was my daughter's birthday, and my eldest was in town celebrating, and she's reading a book on the lounge chair, and John and I are chatting, and you come up, and the show comes up, and we're talking about where are you at in it, and my daughter is
Mm.
of very little words. She's 27, and she puts her book down. She's like, I love dying for sex.
Oh,
And
oh.
I was like, "Oh, you do?" And because it's funny with your kids, like,
Mhm.
I try not to bring up the C word too much around them, obviously, like,
Got
if
it.
they have questions, they're around it enough. It's like me, it's like we're around it so much. I don't need a therapy group.
Right, you're like, "I'm good." You're like, "I am a therapy group."
Right? I'm exhausted already. It's 9 AM, and I've talked about it 50 million times. But it was so great to see that she was watching it and that she was a
Yeah.
fan of it.
Oh, that's
It
really
kind of
cool. Did
yeah.
she find it because of you, or did she just happen to watch it herself?
Um, she she watched it on her own. She'd already seen the show and been through the show.
Amazing. Oh,
And
wow.
I told her where I was at, and no, she found it. She watched it. We had never talked about it. She overheard and she put her book down. I was like, I love that show. Um,
Oh,
yeah. And I was like, oh, that's kind of amazing because you just don't know how your kids are dealing with stuff. But the
yeah.
fact that she's able to watch that and enjoy it and be a
Yeah.
fan of the show hit me deep. Like
I
it
bet.
was,
Oh,
it made me feel really good about where she's at with my journey in life. It's just so the show is it hit me in so many ways,
oh,
and I am sure. I mean, I'm not. I'm sure. I know this is for everybody because there's something in it for everybody.
that's
There,
really, I love that you said that. I feel that too. I feel like the responses that I get, and thank you for that compliment. Cause I mean, it always goes back to Molly, is that when you're willing to kind of crack yourself open and show all the messy, ugly parts, whether it's cancer or relationship with parents, your mom, or how you are handling trauma that happened to you when you were younger. Once you crack yourself open, whatever the story is, I feel like people find the sliver of the story that they need the most. And I'm curious as to what your daughter kind of took away from it and how she maybe absorbed a little bit of you through the story and herself. And like we see ourselves in characters, we see ourselves in storyline. This is the part when I think art and TV is so healing. Like there's a lot of TV out there that's crap. I watch most of it, by the
same.
way. I love crappy TV, but I
Mhm.
love when a show can make me think more deeply about my own life. And I just love to hear that your daughter took the risk to watch it, considering what's going on in her life and with you having cancer. And I feel like being able to do that is really brave. And I'm so proud of her for watching that. That's cool.
Same,
Thanks for
and I
telling
was
me that.
impressed. I was impressed with it. My heart just
Yeah.
it felt so good to know that she's in a place that she could watch that and
Yeah.
enjoy it and be a fan of it.
Oh,
Yeah, it just really and I didn't ask any questions because I immediately went into my own head and was
really?
like, "Oh my god, she's okay with it. Oh my god, I need to finish the show. Oh my god." There's so many things that yeah, so I will have a conversation, but I'd like to have that in person with her.
Yeah.
She's funny because she expresses herself with quick sentiments. It's
Mhm. Okay.
not a big let's talk about things kind of
Okay.
person. And I think that she probably gets that from my younger self. I probably was a lot like that. So it's not until later in life where I'm like, let's talk about it.
Right. Let's lean into the uncomfortable
Yeah, let's have
together.
those hard conversations. Never. That was never me. So, and now I find comfort in the hard conversations.
Isn't that funny how that happens? Do you think that's because of what you're going through with your illness? Or do you think that's just us getting older and being like, why are we not talking about the elephant in the room? Otherwise, the elephant's just like taking up space and being annoying, you know?
Yeah,
Why
I
do you
think
think
it's
that where's that
both.
come from? Both?
I think it's
Yeah.
both. And I think that my diagnosis just kicked me into the room, of being
Yeah.
able to open up and tune everything out and focus for a minute. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes. And so what point I need to know this too. What point did
Mhm.
the FX deal come in where they said, "Okay, we're gonna make a show out of your podcast?" Like,
Yeah,
because
that was I mean, like, listen, when we were doing the podcast, I was so invested in the story with Molly because I was working with my producer from Wondery, Stephanie Jens, who helped me. She shaped that story from the recordings that we had to adding Molly's book, adding interviews, like really shaped it into a series. And all while we were working, Wondery was pitching this out to the world as a TV show. So by time the first episode had come out, I think it had barely been released. We were already taking meetings with showrunners, which but Nicole, you'll appreciate this. So I'm going into these meetings with showrunners thinking in my mind, this is before COVID, so we're all meeting in person. I'm thinking that I'm pitching the show to them, being like, here's the world, here, and I'm all dressed up in my cute meeting attire. And everyone else is very casual, but I'm overdressed and overexcited because that's just how I roll.
uh-huh.
And then finally I remember thinking, oh, wait, we're not pitching them. They want to do they're interested in being considered to do the show. Like the roles had been reversed and I had never experienced that. And we met so many amazing creatives and showrunners that were gravitating towards Molly's story, which I have to say, kudos to those showrunners, because that takes a lot of bravery and heart to say that's the kind of show that I want to make next. Like, so I met some really amazing showrunners, and we ended up meeting with Liz Merriweather, who is just, so insanely good, from The Dropout, New Girl. And when we met with her in person right before basically the world shut down, this was like honestly 10 days before everything went to shit. We met her, and I just remember thinking, like, this is the person, this is the right one. So it happened very quickly and kind of in the non-Hollywood way, because everything in Hollywood feels like it's just so hard, like you're pushing the boulder up the hill. That part of the little job of like trying to find a showrunner, it just felt like it was just coming to us, and it felt so, there was a lot of ease in that, and we all agreed. All the people at Wondery who did the podcast all were like hands down in agreement that Liz was the right person to do this. So that part was so interesting. I had never experienced anything like that before in this business, because I've always been the one in the room being like, do you like me?
Yes, I know. It's like, what is a pitch meeting like where you're not doing the pitch? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm racking my brain. I'm not sure I know what that feels like. So okay, the timing of that is wild. So did you guys think, oh shit, it's over? Because
Yes,
the
kind of.
pandemic
To
hit?
be honest, yeah, we were like, there were many moments where the COVID, the COVID happened, and then the strikes happened, and then we were trying to find who to play the lead, and then I believe Michelle got pregnant and had a baby within that amount of time. Like, years went by. So here we are in 2025, but this all started in end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So nothing happens fast in this town, A, and B, we had an entire, pandemic that occurred. But yeah, there were many moments where I thought, oh, this isn't going to happen. And how sad that a health crisis is going to get in the way of telling a story about a health crisis. I just was like, no. But I felt Molly with me a lot from the other side, kind of guiding me. And there was a very spiritual aspect happening. And everyone has mentioned that spiritual aspect, meaning Liz and Kim, Michelle Williams, everyone has felt Molly around. So that is happening. I'm pretty sure of it.
I love that, because I was going to ask you, how does that feel to not be sharing in this with her right now? Because you are sharing. I'm not saying that you're not
No,
with
I
her,
know what
but
you mean.
for her to not, like, what is that like?
It's funny you say this. Last night I went to go like get fitted for my Emmy dress, and I am so excited and so carrying the torch for her. She is so my heart, but like there is definitely guilt. Like I'm feeling it right now and I could cry. Like there's like this survivor's guilt of like, why do I get to do this and you're not with me, physically. I mean, I feel her so deeply with me, but there is a little feeling of, why do I get to do all of this amazing stuff and she's not participating? But I remember something she said to me right before she died. And she said, I've watched you work so hard in this business and be beaten down by it so many times. And I hope and I pray that somehow the story of my death can make your life better. And look at
Oh,
this. So the gift that she gave me was just it was just beautiful, and that is not lost on me. So yeah, there's a lot of guilt, but there's so much more gratitude, Nicole, and I love you for asking that, because that's leaning into the uncomfortable, right? Like that's the uncomfortable part, but it's there, and it's kind of with me. It's like a little pocket of grief that I carry the whole time, but I'm really, really proud of her and what she's done and how she's the ripple effect. Like when I think about your daughter sitting there next to you and saying, Mom, I watched that, and knowing that somehow that might help her in what you guys are going through. Like that's all that Molly really ever wanted with her story, So
yes. And when you feel that guilt, I want to remind you that it could have, you could be in this position and she's just being gone and not honored like this too,
it's true.
So there's more than, when your guilt should feel like, you said carrying the torch, like you are helping so many people and you're helping her legacy. And such a tribute to her life that will live on forever. And it's just helping so many people.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know the guilt feeling you have because my friend one of my friends who passed, she said to me, what are the odds, the three of us, you're going to be the one that lives. You're going to be the one that makes it. And I have to, she doesn't know how she changed my life by that one little sentiment,
Yeah.
because I have to lean on that a lot,
I bet.
especially with the statistics where they are. And so I know what you mean by feeling guilty.
Mhm.
And because she was also a single mom. Our girls went to school together. The daughter is a year older and of course was, taken from the home and lives in another county and had to start over. And she was, 100% single mom like me. And we just, my youngest and I look at the little girl's Instagram
Yeah.
and like she gives me
Oh,
updates and we have a moment where we
of
just think
course.
we hold her in our heart
Oh,
so deeply because what a rough, you do kind of feel guilty. And
yeah.
I think my daughter carries a little guilt, like I get to keep my mom and you lost
And
yours.
you
And
lost yours. Oh,
yeah, it's all of it is so it's so real. And if you don't acknowledge it and you don't talk about it and you don't see it in other people and share it, it can eat you alive.
that is exactly the point that I think is so valuable is that people are so terrified to talk about it and they're so worried that it's going to swallow them up. And I feel like the more you lean into those uncomfortable conversations, it frees up space to then find the humor and then to be lighter about it. But if it's always kind of looming over you and you don't lean into it, I feel like it can kind of, going back to the being the elephant in the room. And I'm like, I just really advocate for people to have those uncomfortable conversations and to say the things that make feel slightly uncomfortable because I think it can open up a real layer of deeper connection. And I've seen it happen in my family. Like nobody wanted to talk about death. And finally, now that this show came out, I'm asking everyone in my family, like, what do you want? What do you need? What feels good to you? And now I know what every single person in my family wants me to do after they die. I'm so clear about it. And I feel like that empowers me and it connects me to them. And I knew it was uncomfortable for them to talk about. And I wouldn't have pushed it. But I do think that um, talking and connecting around things that are uncomfortable can be really healing and open up space for new kinds of relationships together. So
I agree with that. And I think those conversations are important to have before somebody has a diagnosis.
yes, right,
Yeah.
right.
Because we lost my dad to cancer. It's been almost 20 years, I want to say. And it forced us all to say, what do you want to do? And we
Right.
had that conversation, but it was, because he was terminal. But then after that, the rest of us were, quote unquote healthy. But we all knew what each other wanted and how we were going to do it and everything. So when my mom passed, we already knew we didn't have to ask. We didn't have to have these conversations. That was off the table. And so, like you
Wow.
said, it opens up for other conversations. Like,
Yeah.
so, once that's over and you already know, you have that time to talk about something else and to bring something
Yeah.
else up. It's also funny to watch because I have a part of me like her husband where I think I can like fix everything through nutrition and
Yeah.
and I never was that person before. I always would be like, give me the drugs, I want the over the counter, give me the prescription. And when I got my diagnosis, I went a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm still a little crazy. And I'm learning to reel it in and
Okay.
not push it on people. And that character was such a good reminder for me of chill out. And it helped right now with my daughter's situation because she's at home with a cast and she's bed
Right.
rest for a while.
Right.
And I came home and I was like, there's going to be no sugar. And because, and I reminded her, why we're not eating the sugar? Because it stops your immune system from working and you need your immunity right now. If you want to get back, like going on and on and on.
Right.
And I found myself letting her sit here eating the candy and making her the acai bowls and just throwing a calcium, magnesium pill at her with her Tylenol going, here, take that. And that's such a shift for me because I
Yeah.
I went immediately into this control the
Mhm.
controllables and, our diet and our nutrition, which I so believe in. And I do think it's magical. And I
Yeah.
do think it helps and it works and all of that. But you can't force it on people.
I know.
Right?
I know. It's all
Yeah.
about balance, and it's so hard when the stakes get high, and the stakes are really high to keep that like ebb and flow of like, oh, the little bit of a lot of the good, a little bit of the bad, like you just yeah, the control. I mean, it's really interesting because I am fascinated by you and your situation because I'm speaking from someone who was the friend, right? But and so of course when Molly and I talked about all of this kind of uncomfortable stuff, it was because she allowed me to. She wanted to. So then I just fell in line with what felt good for her. But like when you're the person dealing with the illness or the situation, I feel like you kind of get to I don't know, you get to call the shots. Like you get to decide what feels good. I don't get to tell you what I think feels good. So do you find that any in your relationships, do you find that you're leaning into the uncomfortable conversations? Or are you, Nicole, more the kind that are like, let's just truck along and have a good time and not talk about the uncomfortable stuff?
It depends. That changes. It changes and it varies from day to day. And it's interesting that you bring that up because people will come to me and say, "How do you voice what you want?" And like, how do you put your boundaries? How do you set boundaries when you're the sick, when you're, the one that's got the
Yeah.
diagnosis? And it's sort of a decision you have to make because I feel like I was sort of like a shapeshifter through my life, and I always just adapted to what was happening, and I was always like, "Okay." And I feel like I had a moment where a friend came knocking on my door, crying and sobbing about my diagnosis, and I
Oh,
opened the door, and she was standing there crying, and I said, "Not today." Like, "This is not the day. You have to go home, and I'm so sorry, but I can't." And I closed the door. And part of me
sorry, I'm not laughing, but I just know how many times this has probably happened to people.
I mean, but a lot of people won't. I was talking to somebody the other day who says um, they keep just going along with what everybody else wants, and
Yeah.
like they're feeling like their needs are not being met. And it's just very important. You have to
Mhm.
be able to say, "No, not today. I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about it right now."
Great.
Or "Oh my God, I need a friend. I need to talk about it." It varies, but I feel myself getting more and more to a place of like I've had a lot of the uncomfortable conversations, and it's time to like now see what else is going on.
Yeah.
And
Right. Yeah. No, I get it.
and because it's hard to escape. You can't watch a show without hearing about it. Then the commercials are,
Totally.
cancer treatments, like it's everywhere. You can't
Right.
escape it. So it can be tiring and boring in a way. Do you know where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I
Yeah.
have to hear about this
Enough. Yes.
one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, let's do something else. Like it was so interesting because I did a scene in a Lifetime movie recently, and I was like, I got to be on set doing something that had nothing to do with cancer. And I was so excited,
I
right?
bet. Yeah.
And then recently I get it from my reps. They said, there's this role that's perfect for you. We're so excited. Da, da, da. And then I read the breakdown and it's a cancer patient. And I'm like, no, no, this is not perfect for me. And you're like, look, I can't even get away with it, away from it with the acting. Like,
Oh my gosh. It's the
make it
perfect role for
stop.
you. You're like,
Perfect.
oh no.
You're perfect for this one. Yeah, the sick dying one. You're the one.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's
Oh
yeah,
my well,
that
thank God
goes
we
on.
can laugh about it.
Well, you have to. What else? I mean, if you sit and cry about it and the doom part of it, we have to deal with the doom part of it enough, right?
I
Like,
know. Yeah.
you have to,
This
yeah.
is it's so interesting. I mean, first of all, you what you're doing and the way that you're talking about this, like I know we talked a lot about how Molly's bravery has the ripple effect has affected people, but the way you're talking about things and about life and doing this podcast and putting yourself out there in this way, this is also affecting people as well because people look sometimes in the media for permission. Like, is it okay that I do this? Is it okay that I say this? And the fact that you're doing a podcast that's being sent out to, thousands of people and talking so freely makes other people go, oh, I don't have to have shame around this. It's not a dirty little secret. I can say things to my friends. And I just feel like the more we talk about it, the more we show people like there's power in the permission that you give to yourself to have uncomfortable conversations. So I just wanted to say, like, kudos to you for just kind of being open and honest about everything and just laying it all out there, because it shows other people that they're not alone.
Thank you. It's interesting because when I made that decision, it was very clear to me, and I didn't really care how anybody else looked at it, because I thought, if I'm this scared and I feel this alone, other people do. And the great thing about social media and podcasts and TV shows and things like this is they can still stay secretive and anonymous and yet go somewhere and not feel alone. It's all relatable. There's not enough TV shows. I mean, let's be honest, that usually it's like doom and gloom. You're the only show. But if I put videos out and people will say, I never have told anybody before, but now I am, or you made me feel like, the women, I get as much back going from the women going through it as they get from me, because I feel less alone. And, it's just, I think if we don't talk about it, it festers. And I feel like festering is what made me sick. I'm pretty positive of it. So
yeah.
Oh,
Nicole,
thank you so much for
great. Are you kidding? I'm just like, I love you. I know that sounds weird because we've only seen each
I
other
love you
once,
too.
but I love you. Like, I had a feeling when I met you that night at it was like a ceremony that we went to, this event, and I felt like the reason that I went there was obviously to support the cause and to be there to support the show. But I was like, I felt like I was there to meet you. So that was so nice. Yeah.
Same, because it's been life-changing, and meeting you has changed so many things, like we just talked about. It's just opened up so many. This world is put together not by mistake. I definitely believe that. It's not coincidence, and this is proof.
Well, let's just stay connected. I want to know everything. I want to know what's going on with the leg injury on your sweet daughter. I need to know how your surgery goes. I need to know. So you're stuck with me now, just so that you know.
Okay, I welcome it. No,
just one more person you have to check in with. Jeez.
No, I honestly don't have that many. I think I really don't have a lot of people around me. I've always kind of been like that. My circle's pretty small, and when I got my diagnosis, it got smaller. A lot of people dropped off. A lot of people dropped off. So, and I probably pushed a few away.
Well, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
And I probably weeded. My friend who I lost, she would always say, it's about taking the gardening, mending the garden is about weeding. Don't forget that part. Yeah.
That's great advice, actually. Wait, what's your friend? Can you tell me your friend's name, or do you want to keep that private?
Her name was Roxy.
Oh my God. I wonder if Roxy and Molly are like hanging out together and watching us do this podcast and laughing at the fact that like they're the center of conversation right now.
100%, and dating, and they're up there dating.
They're like getting busy. Their souls are like, yeah.
I know. I would stop by her house to like drop something off, and there'd be like men dropping things off, and I was like, "Who is that?" She's like, "Do you think he's cute?" And I was like, "Oh my God, what did I just walk into?"
They're hosting their own podcast, Roxy and Molly, called Piles of Men. That's what they're
Piles
doing.
of Men.
That's what they're doing together.
I love that so much.
Oh, this has been really fun. I just love talking with you, and I would do it any day. So let's do it again sometime.
Let's do it again. And anybody who has not, if there's anybody under the sun who has not listened to Dying for Sex or watched the show Dying for Sex, run, don't walk, run and stream it, and you will be binge watching it. I promise.
I love this. Thank you. Yeah. And then after you do watch it, go to Instagram and follow me at Nikki Boyer, and then tell me what you thought of it, because my favorite thing is to like have a glass of wine and a little bit of an edible and lay in my bed at night and go through Instagram and look at all the beautiful things that people say. So please reach out to me, because I would love to hear what you think.
And follow her just because she's funny as hell and beautiful and always always have something going on. And I know you're going to have something coming out again soon. And yeah, so everybody stay tuned, follow Miss Nikki. And thank you again. I can't thank you enough.
Same. I feel the same way. It's such an honor to be able to sit and chat with you. So thank you.
Same. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
That was pretty cool. Pretty cool. It was a nice conversation. It was nice to see two people that had a lot in common. Some very sad stuff, but also looked like you found a friend for life right there.
I mean, she's just a sparkly soul, right? Like,
Yes,
how do you?
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, some people have that energy. I'm always jealous of the people that seem to have that energy. Like, how does it happen? Pretty
you
cool.
have good energy too, Dave.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know what? We talk, sports, you and I, once in a while, on the show, because I wear a Dodger hat every single show. I got to tell you, the other day I had something crazy happen to me, and then we can get out because I know we've gone long, but I was coaching on Sunday, and my Dodgers did really well this past week. All right. They won 3 straight over San Diego. And at the time, San Diego was in first place for one day. And I'm walking at the sports complex, Nicole, and I'm walking from one side of the field to the other to coach. And I can hear a lady above the field. There's a bar up there. Parents drink and they're watching the games. And all of a sudden, I hear this lady talking to someone, but screaming. You want to know about the biggest fucking asshole in this town? I'll tell you the biggest fucking asshole is. And I like, well, who's she talking about? This lady's really hot. I mean, there are 14, 15-year-old kids playing. I'm like, wait a second, who's cussing like this? And I look up to see who she's angry at, and she's pointing right at me. And she goes, that's the biggest fucking asshole in San Diego. And she pointing right at me. I'm like, what did I do? And it all came.
You were sitting behind home plate wearing a Dodgers hat.
No. I was coaching.
No, but I mean, days prior to this, were you sitting behind home plate in San Diego with a Dodgers hat on?
No, I'm doing that this Sunday. I'll be on this Sunday on TV.
Okay. So this hadn't even happened yet. Okay.
Yeah, this is from just people know that I'm a Dodger fan, and I say some things on social media that maybe cross the line. But either way, I was shocked that in front of hundreds of people and in kids that I was the one she was cussing about. And I was like, not everybody thinks I have that great soul you just said, just so you know. Yeah. So anyway, I love to get a reaction on stuff like that it's just sports, but at the same time, wow, that was crazy.
Well, listen, I like assholes. So
that's it. That's right. That's
being an asshole is the funniest, most fun person in the room.
Yeah. That was something in my week. I don't think I'm gonna forget for a while, but that was interesting.
Did you respond to her at all, or
no,
did you just kept walking?
She had about 3 pitchers of beers in about the 5 hours that she was there in the sun. I mean, there's a lot of alcohol talking.
Let me understand something. So you're at what grade level? This is high school?
This was high school. Yeah, this is like JV level.
And there's a bar, and the parents are up there getting wasted while the kids are. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not very LA.
No, this is the sportsplexes. A lot of teams from LA come down, but yeah, we have them all over San Diego. We have high schools in San Diego, private schools that have bars with the baseball fields or football fields, and the people pay to drink.
San Diego's a different beast than LA. Wow.
Yeah, people, but not the public schools, but some of the private schools literally serve alcohol during games. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah. Well, get a little bit brave.
Obviously having a good time.
I'm
down in San Diego.
When you feel good enough, come on down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I wonder if she woke up in the morning going, shit, what did I say?
She didn't remember anything. I just find it fascinating that upset about the Dodgers winning and me being a Dodger fan. But yeah, for some reason that was the moment. I don't know. People that knew me when I walked back to the other side go, what did you do? And I got to do anything. And I go, someone goes, she must know you're a Dodger fan.
Is her kid on your team, or
no,
is her kid on the opposing team?
Who's on the other team? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes more sense then, because I was like, wait a minute. If
I'm sure. And I have parents on my team that hate the fact I'm a Dodger fan too, but that's fine. I'm loyal to the Dodgers. I put it this way: I've been a Dodger fan longer than I coach their kids, so I'm not changing. So that's
no way.
Yeah, come on.
Don't change who we are for anybody else, anyways, Dave. Remember that.
No,
everybody remember that. That's the message.
We're
going to leave you with right now. Do not change for anybody or anything.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's good. I hope that was a good time, Nicole. We'll be back for the next one. I'm sure it'll be great as well.
All right. See you guys then and wish me luck.